What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott. And as you see by the title below, we're going to talk about how to get that puppy love. How to get that young love feeling again. The one, or the type of love that you felt, when you were younger. Or maybe the honeymoon stage. How to make it everlasting, right? How to make that feeling last longer, how to get it more often, and how to just fall deeply, deeply in love or young love with somebody, okay? So to start this all off, I'm going to say the first thing you have to do is have this. Now, I don't really know what to call this. I don't even know how to explain it, but you will know, or you will feel it when you feel it. I promise you. I want to call it like an epiphany, an intrinsic realization, right? Where you have to be in a mindset, and I think this is the mindset you have to be in. Usually, when you'll go about your day, you'll go about your life, you'll go about whatever feeling, the average, right? The normal, like just how you feel every day. Some days you have ups, some days you have downs. Throughout the day, you have ups and downs. You're kind of just like an autopilot. You're like in whatever mode, or maybe you're stressing over something like bills or guys or work, family matters, whatever it is, right? Well, this intrinsic realization is something, again, I don't know how to explain it, but it automatically gives you a little pep in your step. It automatically gives you it feels like a second wind. It feels like like you just chugged an energy drink. You feel really like motivated. I can't explain it, and I don't know how it comes about. I think if you just do a lot of thinking and a lot of realization, a lot of self-reflection. It's usually when you discover something, right? That's when I feel it. It's usually when I discover something. So for example, and of course to discover these things, you have to do a lot of self-appreciation, self-reflection, a lot of self-therapy, self-coaching, whatever you want to call it, right? And I remember feeling it when I was going, and I talk about this all the time, so you guys already know, but when I was going through my breakup like 10 years ago, I remember laying in my bed one day, and I was going through this is like month 7, right? It took me a long 7 months to get over this chick. And I was laying in my bed down in the basement in the dark, or in a bed in the basement, and I was just laying there, and I pitch black, and I just woke up one time, and I'm thinking, because usually I would wake up with a pessimistic mindset. Like the feelings would start flushing into my head, and the thoughts of her would just like overpower me, and I would have to go through that battle those all day. And I did a lot. I remember laying in bed doing a lot of self-reflection the night before, just like, why am I this way? How do I get over it? What do I have to do? Kind of, asking deeper, stronger questions. The quality of your life is based on the quality of the questions you ask, right? So remember that. It's Tony Robbins quote, but it's very, very true. And I remember waking up, and I was just like, I don't feel it anymore. Like, okay, where are these feelings at? I don't feel it anymore. And that day ended up going pretty shitty, but it was one of the best days of my life, I feel like, because I remember, like, for example, I remember going, during that day, I remember going to a friend's house who lived far away, and I went through the back roads, right? So I was in the middle of nowhere, and it was like 100-something degrees in Illinois. My car broke down, and my phone died, and I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, right? All I had was my car at the time, broken down, everything done, and I had a tree across the street with some shade. I got out, I went under that tree in the shade, and I just laid there, and I was like, and it was weird because I wasn't even upset. I laid there, and I was just like, you know what, this isn't even bad. And I wasn't trying to convince myself. I was actually happy, because even though that happened and I was going through my breakup, I was done going through that breakup. Like, I felt this intrinsic realization, like, life is good, right? And again, you have to find it somehow through some self-discovery, right? Searching yourself. And I laid under that tree just like, like, life is good. And the reason I'm telling you to find, or for the intrinsic motivation or the intrinsic realization, is because you got to have this pep in your step. You got to have this feeling. You got to have all these worries and things off your body to do the next thing, which I would say is to be kind of young at heart. I think I'll say young at heart, status quo. I'll say that a lot of things now, or the reason why people are in the shitty relationships they're in, or they are, continuing down the cycle they're going, which is, they date for 3 to 6 months, they break up, you go through this little pity stage, then you do another 3 to 6 months with this other guy, or you talk to this guy and he doesn't feel the same, or doesn't, he just uses you or plays you or something like that. It's because we all go through, like, all of our relationships are the same. People don't think they are, but they are. Everyone's going through the same shit, just a different day, right? Or in a different lens. And it's because of the status quo. Like, nowadays, you have to be a certain way. You have to act a certain way. Women have to look a certain way, dress a certain way. Guys have to have some muscles. Guys have to have this. Guys have to have that. It feels like we all have to be a certain, we have to go on these dates. We have to go on this, we have to go on that, you have to make a certain amount of money. Like, everyone lives under the status quo, trying to one up the Joneses, trying to persuade the opposite sex, try to be someone they're not to get the opposite sex. And when you're finally together, you realize you're just paper, you're just a paper cutout, cardboard of everybody else. It's no different. Like, I remember one of my best relationships was with a girl named Alex. Back in high school, and we did it for a couple years, and she was easily one of the best girlfriends I ever had. And it's because this was different than how I am and how everyone is now. See, now when you go on a date, you got to go out and you got to go to dinner, or movies, or all these romantic. You got to be romantic, do all these romantic things, and things like that. But back then, we didn't have a car. I didn't have a car in the beginning of high school. She didn't have a car in high school. We didn't have a lot of places to go. We lived on a military base. So what her and I would do is just enjoy the time together. We loved being together. We loved hanging out. Not the fact, it helps that she was really hot and I like messing around with her. But even if she wasn't, like, she was just so cool. And a lot of the times we would spend on this bridge in the woods that had water flowing under, right? So we'll just hang out on this bridge and go through the woods and trails and stuff like that, and just hang out and have fun and talk. And we had this little tree, it was a big tree, but we had this tree we would always climb up and make out on, and we'd carve our names on that shit. And she was just an awesome girlfriend. And again, it didn't cost some money. It didn't, and it's hard for us to break out of that now. Because I'm sure a lot of guys or a lot of girls, if you date someone like that, you'd be like, if he's taking me to do this because he's fucking broke, right? I remember girls would think that. I had a friend who would always take girls on like free things, like walks or like museums or things like that, and they're like, dude, it's because you're fucking broke, right? So it's kind of hard to break out of that mindset, but I feel like if you like the person enough and you're cool enough with the person and they're a cool enough person, and what else can I say with person in it, right? And all those kind of things. It's just awesome and it's chill. Again, this girl and Alex and I, we stood outside the whole time. We just walk around and play around and goof around, and everyone hangs inside nowadays. Like, me and my friends and her, we would all hang outside, would all go through the woods. Her and I would always go in the woods and walk trails, and we knew the whole area, man, because all we would do was just travel is just follow the trails, walk, hang out together, and just have a blast. We were very young at heart, and we broke the status quo. And finally, the last thing I would say is an escape, or look at the person as escapism, right? You have to have some type of escapist mindset. And what I mean by that is, usually when a guy wants to break away from life, he usually does it through a vacation, a man cave, or a woman. And what I mean by that is, when he goes to work, he goes to work. And of course, just as women do in society, we all have this pressure to be a certain way. Guys have to make a certain amount of money. A guy has to be a masculine man. Which I think a guy should be a masculine man. If you're feminized, there's nothing wrong with that, whatever, right? But there should be a masculine and feminine energy is what I mean, somewhere in the world, right? But you know, a guy has to be like this, a guy has to be like that, a guy has to da-da-da. He has to make a certain amount of money, he has to have a certain job, he has to, you know, this, you know, and all this pressure on being, you know, on having to be somebody, men and women, right? And it's just like, fuck, I'm tired of it. And the best feeling is when you can just escape all that and go to a woman and just like, and it feels like a second, you know, it sounds bad to say it, but it feels like a second life, like a second chance, a second, you know, just like, that's all gone. Like, I'm away from that. Like, I can de-stress, I can break away, I can pull away from that. Again, another story I have is, I remember dating this girl named Leah for a short time, and we lived in the same town, but she went to college about 2 or 3 hours away, and I went to college maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes away. And when it was the weekends, I would drive down there to see her, and there was nothing better than drive. Like, and I'm telling you, I would be stressing from school. I think I was out of school already, but I'd be stressing from work. I'd be stressing from like family matters or money or whatever the problem was I had back then. And it was so relaxing just to drive and break away and go hang out with her. And like, the distance really felt like something, because I was, you know, 100, 200 miles away from home. It felt so good being over here, being new, not being known, being free. I felt so free. And maybe maybe free is the feeling I'm actually trying to go with. Because if you think about it, you know, you got to be young at heart. You got to break away from the status quo. You're kind of breaking free. You know, if I'm roaming the woods with a girl I like, I feel more free than having to be the cliche, kind of cliche dates. I also said you got to have this intrinsic realization, right? I feel like you have to have a free mind. And yeah, I'm going to say free is the word I'm looking for here through all of this. Through a 12-minute video, the word free is what I'm looking for. It took me 12 minutes to get there. But of course, then escapism. You know, you got to feel free. I feel like if you want to have a great puppy love, young love relationship, you have to feel free. Took me 12 minutes to get there, ladies and gentlemen, but now we got it. You have to feel free. Say it with me. You have to feel free. And I feel like if you have a free mind, you break away from the status quo, from the cliche normal, the average. I'll say average. I hate that fucking word. The average. And you have some escape route, right? You have some escape rope. Pokemon reference, if you all know about what that is. Then you just feel, you get that intrinsic feeling. You feel excited, you feel happy, you feel in love. And of course, a guy is going to associate that feeling with you. We always do. It's law of association. We always do that. You will find happy, young puppy love, ladies and gentlemen, puppy love. So with that being said, if you haven't, please subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. Trying to grow this channel, trying to get it big, trying to get it going. If you haven't got my free ebook below, absolutely free, 254 pages of how to get a guy, text a guy, flirt the guy, all the above, right? Just the male. It's more about the male mind and how to attract and keep men, most importantly, which I think we all need, even probably other guys, right? But with that being said, I love you, ladies, and peace.